KTM 1290 Super Adventure R Review and Price 2017. What happens when you stuff one of the most tremendous engines available into an off-road chassis designed by a team that's obsessed with dominating in the dirt? You end up with one hot rod of a travel enduro, in this case KTM's new 1290 Super Adventure R. It's 18 grand, 1,301 cubic centimeters, and more than 500 pounds of Austrian aggression, and it's intended to put all other bikes in the ADV category to shame. I know what you're thinking, this is just another high-dollar, two-wheeled SUV that's not really meant to stray far from the pavement. But if you doubt the off-road intent of this machine or its creators, consider this: at the Super Adventures press introduction in the coastal desert of Peru, our 120-mile test ride wasn't just nearly entirely off pavement, it was mostly off trail. As in, we spent miles hauling ass across open desert, laying fresh tracks across everything from colossal sand dunes to red, rock-strewn terrain that looked as alien as any image beamed back from the Mars rover. It was some of the most exciting stuff I've ever ridden, and the Super Adventure R ate it up without breaking a sweat. I, on the other hand, was soaked with perspiration. It is summer in the southern hemisphere after all. Power, as you might imagine, is abundant. KTM says there are 160 HP and over 100 pound-feet of torque are on tap, and that Herculean 75-degree V-twin delivers all of its ungodly thrust in a completely tractable manner. It shudders and barks as you roll open the throttle, sending the speed readout on the big TFT dash and your soul soaring. This engine will ruin you. There are 4 ride modes to choose from, so you can tune the engine dynamic and ABS to suit your mood or riding conditions, and the 6-gallon tank and cruise control mean the Super Adventure should gulp down miles as readily as Austrians gulp down Weiss beer. I had to develop my on-road impressions quickly, however, because we only spent about a mile on pavement before veering off into the Paracas Natural Preserve. Within the preserve we had to stick to established routes, which were little more than tire tracks across the sand. Our small group of adventurers rode across a dry lake bed, wound up and over huge coastal hills, and skirted cliffs above the ocean. In places the sea had scooped out picturesque coves that were dotted with families on vacation and fishermen catching their dinners. Just offshore, massive islands of stone rose out of the white water to stand guard over the rugged coastline. Continental TKC 80s come standard on the SAR, and in combination with plush WP suspension the Super Adventure was sure-footed on rough terrain and slid very progressively. It's a big bike, but the 1290 is well balanced, and my fooling around revealed a remarkably stable machine that tracks true and remains calm and composed well after its rider has started hollering "oh shit" in his helmet. Don't plan on sliding and jumping your ADV? No worries. The SAR is content to plod along at idle and cradle you in sophisticated comfort. Who better to ride desert with than some of the most talented off-road riders in the world? Ride leaders included American KTM test rider and 4-time Baja 1000 winner Quinn Cody, and 8-time New Zealand Enduro champion, 3-time Roof of Africa winner and Dakar and ISDE competitor Chris Birch, pictured here. Chris was my group's ride leader, and peppered us with useful desert riding tips throughout the day. Based on the Super Duke RS engine, this 1,301 cubic centimeters V-twin is remarkably efficient at turning gasoline into a steady stream of ungodly thrust. KTM says it cranks out 160 HP and 103 pound-feet of torque, and it does so while remaining totally tractable. In SAR form, this LC8 engine has steel valves instead of titanium, different cam profiles to emphasize mid-range torque, and smaller throttle bodies for the same reason. The rev limiter resides somewhere around 10,000 RPM, but you'll never flirt with it since you'll be too busy reveling in the mid-range torque. I was skeptical, too, but as with Sour, riding the bike swayed my opinion. If you've got the space to use it, 160 HP is definitely a good time. Engine aside, I'm skeptical about this category of bikes in general. I mean, who in their right mind is really going to thrash nearly 20 grand and 500 pounds of premium ADV bike off-road? The 1290 SAR's existence is all the more questionable given that KTM is poised to release the new 1090 Super Adventure R, which is liable to be a much more popular option in part due to its more reasonable $14,699 price tag. So KTM built the Super Adventure R because they know there's a market for premium, all-out ADV machines. And they introduced the press to the bike in the rugged desert of Peru because they knew they'd developed a travel enduro that's as capable as it looks. And it is. At $17,999 and roughly 510 pounds with gas, the Super Adventure R is well positioned to take on BMW's G1200 GS Adventure, which starts at $18,700 and has a 580-pound claimed wet weight, and Ducati's Multistrada 1200 Enduro starts at $21,300, 560-pound claimed wet weight. Thanks for watching.